this time, Martin Odegaard. Zinchenko from Ketia, it's in, it's 4. Martinelli tiptoeing in. Predatory, perfect. There is a gorgeous arrogance about Arsenal now.
It really is. They are enjoying every second of this.
Hello and welcome to Not Another Arsenal Podcast, aka the Hector Bellerin of Arsenal Podcast. My name is Mike Hers, your host. The mask is back with Kelly, of course. We're here to chat a little bit about the semifinal versus Chelsea that once again we ended up winning and strangely just getting dog abused by media and rival fans. We're going to jump into that. We're going to talk about the final. Some people say the AFL Cup is huge. Other people say it's massive. I kid. Plenty of people don't put too much stock in this cup, but I do want to pick the brain of my co-host for tonight and ask them how are they feeling, because a cup is a cup, and we haven't had a cup for a while, so I'm sure winning feels good no matter at what level of the game. First and foremost, as always, the introductions. Kelly, welcome back, Kelly.
Yeah, I'm back. I'm back in the time zone. I'm back in the country. Took a nice little jaunt down to the Dominican Republic in the Caribbean here. Enjoyed a couple days of nice weather, a couple days of long travel, and a couple days of terrible weather. So kind of like an Arsenal fan, riding the waves and having great highs and low lows and some tedium mixed in. But I'm excited to come back after just a nice cracking win at Leeds. We scored some goals and just all the nonsense about Chelsea. I've been putting in my dukes, Mikey, and been fighting a lot of Nigerian Avi bros for the last couple of days, which is always fun to just take hacks at those shadows. But that was not an epitaph at all either. It's just you go when you're fighting Avi bros online that are just like faceless accounts that are just trolls. You're basically like walking into a party with your like a blindfold on and just going like this and swinging around. Like even if you hit somebody, it's not satisfying because you don't know what you hit, and they just disappear them. So I'm giving them the engagement that they're looking for because they're all entrepreneurs and
you already know what that was going to bring that up to you. And normally our good mate Chris, who couldn't make it because he was at work, and there's an ongoing joke in the group in which I always say, Kelly and I both tell him, you ain't got no job, because none of us has been able to properly define what he does for work. I know he's been working or very busy at the very least, because I have barely seen him fighting Twitter accounts. Like normally he would be all over about 20 different Chelsea accounts this semifinal. So the fact that he has not been on Twitter, man must be busy. Ryan, welcome back for now your 8th debut on the podcast.
Right.
How's everything going? Back-to-back weeks, but you're coming in clutch in the app.
On loan when we needed somebody the most. And we needed cover in January.
Yeah,
like we're Marseille and we loaned in Waneri and we're in for a treat. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Well, he almost got sent off the other day, so I don't know what that means for me. But
you can say something really awful about a very, very sensitive group of people. Is that what's going to happen?
I might. And if anyone's going to push me to that edge, it'll be you two. And frankly, I'm okay with that. So it's good to be back. It's good to make my debut. I'm excited. Yay, Carabao Cup. Like let's do this.
That sounds so demeaning. That's so mean, Ryan.
It's A cup, not D cup, and we don't win a lot of A cups, B cups, C cups, or D cups, so we better take any cup that we can get, to be honest with you. It's like
I'm currently ready to hype this up like it was the Champions League final, and that's the mood that I'm currently in. And funny enough, Ryan, we were just chatting about how some people do notes and some people don't do notes, and this is probably why I don't do notes most of the time, because just like that, Kelly mentioned something, and now we're not gonna start off with the notes that I sent you, and that's just how that works, Brian. So, welcome to the podcast. Welcome to Not Another Arsenal.
What do I do?
Quick Google search the results. No, just Kelly brought it up, and we didn't touch upon it because you and I last time we spoke, we were talking about a little bit of everything, right, here and there, just talking about how fans are interacting with the highs and lows, and we spoke about social media and stuff like that, Ryan. But we didn't really deep dive into the Leeds game at all, mostly because they hadn't played yet. But just for the sense of the purpose, we're going to cover more the more recent Chelsea stuff. But on the Leeds game, after the defeat at home to United 3-2, there was a lot of uncertainty. There was uncertainty in the stadium. What I pointed out, in my opinion, there was a lot of uncertainty, in the live fans and the social media fans. And social media fans, you could kind of like just write it off and say social media is kind of a crazy place and who cares. But we felt the tension at the Emirates. Like, we felt the tension through the TV at the Emirates. Not a lot of people celebrating. They were groaning a lot. And what better way to bounce back, right, than a massive, I think Amy Lawrence mentioned it, a massive fuck you win.
Yeah.
And Leeds were on a 10-game winning streak, and we're visiting them in Ellen Road. And the stage was set for the Gary Nevilles of the fucking world to just absolutely pounce on us and talk about how we are absolutely just crumbling, and somehow we're bottle jobs, even though there's 14 fucking games left. And the stage was ready for them. And all we did was go out and just perfectly execute our plan. And surprise, surprise, some of our shots actually went into goal. We didn't have one of those wacky performances where we created 3+ XG and somehow magically scored -1 goals. Granted, vintage Arsenal, own goal, vintage Arsenal, corner. Yeah. We got a little bit of everything. So, Kelly, now that the gap opened back up in the league, like, are we less moody right now, Kelly? Because you and I were on the same wavelength. You and I were very not happy with that United loss. So, now, of course, we're back to a 6-point gap, not quite the 7-point gap, but it's always good week. It's always a good weekend at the league when you expand your margin of error. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things, Mike, that we've been going on this ride, and what's you and I in this podcast, I mean, this is like year number 6 of this ride too, and in that entire time we haven't won anything, and we've flirted with disaster on the front end, but then we've flirted with glory on the back end. We haven't seen it, and I think you and I are both of the opinion where it's like it's up to us it's up to Arsenal to show everybody. That's it. Like, and we kind of are the things where you can caveat stuff and give reasons why you don't win or why you don't turn in the performances or why things don't go your way. But ultimately it's like, we do not have the money. We have the money in the bank of having good processes, good outcomes, really good players, and a good manager. But we need to get that over the line. And that's why I think, and when we jump into Carabao Cup, I think that's very important to us, that this group, this primary cohort of people, because I mean, you think about when we won the FA Cup, it was like Pepe and Aubameyang, and I mean, guys that are so far removed from everything here that it's a totally different team and a totally different set of players, totally different set of circumstances, and there was nobody in the stands then either. So like we're in the spot now where we've had all this momentum and we keep falling at the last hurdle. So I think in our minds we believe, but we need to be able to go, and maybe it's because where we view it from, right? So we're from the United States, we're a long ways away. We can have some bants and banter like out and about, but it's really, we live this club through media consumption and online stuff. We need to be able to go to the tons of faceless like West African bot accounts and just say, fuck you, look at this trophy. Can't say that shit anymore, and just keep going and going and going and going. But it is funny that you say that, because like there was all this turmoil last week, and then we pummel Leeds, and then we beat Chelsea, and literally, like, the Guardian Football Podcast, the title of it this week is the quadruple on. And one of the guys, like, Barry Glendenning, said that we should be favorites to win all 4 of the competitions we remain in. It's like, okay, like, it was an existential crisis that we were bottling it like 6 days ago, and I guess we're here. And I think exactly, Mike. And I'm absorbing that. And I think I usually throw a shit fit to kind of get out the bad energy and kind of calm down a little bit. It's kind of exaggerated, but like it does every time that we lose or we shit ourselves, it does feel like, oh my God, we're not going to do it again. And the thought of that, of not winning anything this year in this position, is like almost too much for me to bear. So I start crying about it, I guess.
I'm so used to like being counter media now. Like I'm so used to fighting the media that like I'm at the point now where when they belittle us or criticize us, I'm like, oh, here we fucking go, right? And now when they praise us, I'm like, no, fuck you. You're only saying that hoping for us to fail. So like I'm officially on the lose-lose situation for media. So like I can't comment on anything media related or like consume any media and not feel like they're just taking a dig at us. But maybe, and this is where I'm going to talk to Ryan about, is like maybe it's a little bit of like past experience with media, and this is kind of why, in a way, I've always kind of defended, not always, but in modern history, because of the last 3 seasons we've had, Ryan, I kind of defend now people that want to have a moan or be labeled negative after a bad result, because history kind of forms your opinions. I'm a big believer in that, right? So we've been bashed for the media this whole time. They say something nice, I think they're setting us up. So in this circumstance, though, Ryan, when we lose at home versus a kind of shitty United, especially in the manner in which we lost the game, I view it like when people say everybody calm down, everything's good. My perspective is like, because the recent 3 years, I'm like, Ryan, you and I watched the last season or the season before where we won fucking 15 out of the last 16 games, and we did not win the league. So I've always kind of defended the idea, like, you know, even living it through social media against Abby Bros, is when people tell me to calm down after a bad result, I'm kind of like, no, you don't understand. This keeps on happening. It's like a really bad Groundhog Day. So like, I let me off of this ride. I want to wake up. So from Kelly and I being on the I want off this ride roller coaster, you've kind of maintained a little bit more positivity throughout. So vindication, if you will, Ryan. Like, are you feeling good? Are you feeling good about yourself, Ryan? Is that what's going on? You feeling good about yourself? That's what I want to know.
No, but it's funny while you were talking, you were talking about how like people tell you to relax and you're like, no, I want this ride. It just reminds me of my wife this could be multiple people's wives, where you tell them to relax and that just only gets them more agitated. And when you guys, seeing you kind of go through that like speech, I'm like, oh, so like you're like my wife, where I tell you to relax, we're top of the league, you get even angrier, which is fair,
pretty much,
which is fair, very fair
comparison.
No, I mean the only thing I think I'd have to say is just that I tend to not think of the history that I've endured with this club. I tend not to think of the past, because the past is the past, and we don't have Lacazette, we don't have Aubameyang, we don't have Ozil, like I said, we don't have any of those guys in our club anymore. This is a new team, and I'm trying to be as positive as I can, because the last 2 years, like, while yes, we haven't won, I won't lie, this could be a hot take for some, but I enjoyed the ride the last 2 years, because, and I think Mike, you brought up a good point too last week at our show. You kept saying how like we weren't really supposed to win. We weren't really in the title talk, and you're right. And I think that's what made the ride so enjoyable. And I think now that we're favorites, and we were favorites to start the season, it's now like, okay, I'm on a roller coaster. I can't really go any higher because we're the favorites. Like, we're supposed to be at the top. So now it's only, pitfalls and going down. But I tend not to look at it that way. I just try to go game by game. And I don't want to get you angry, Mike, but we are top of the league. We are top of Champions League. We're in the finals for the Carabao Cup. I mean, and what is the 4th round of the FA Cup? I mean, it's true though. We are the favorites of every competition we're in. Now we're gonna win it. We're gonna win it. Are we supposed to win it? That's another story completely. But yeah, I'm optimistic. And when a blip drops off here, a blip drops off there, it's like, okay, I'm juggling 4 balls here. If one ball starts to fall a little bit, like, it's fine. I'm still juggling 3 other balls. I'll be fine. And I think also for me, I know because a lot of my friends who are also Arsenal fans also agree with me. This is like the first time in a while where like I genuinely love every player on this team. You know, I and also like when some I mean, listen, I'll take my I don't want to say I'll take my bias against Leo Trossard aside. When players on this squad make mistakes, I'm like, okay, like it's fine.
Take a shot.
Whereas like if Granit Xhaka puts a foot wrong when he was at our club, I was screaming at the TV to take him off at like minute 3. So it's like it's a very interesting evolution for me as a fan, you know, going through with this team and seeing us do good things. And also too, and I know people don't want to hear this, and I know because I've talked to people about this. I was also a person who, yeah, we lost to United. I was pissed because I hate United, but like I also thought United played fucking awesome, but they did score 2 worldies, and the first goal we literally said, "Here, we feel bad for you. Score this, please." You know, we're bored. Like I just think they were very prepared for us, and like at the end of the day, like 2 teams play. It's not just Arsenal against a bunch of robots. We're going to play a team that is trying to prepare to beat us too. And sometimes they have the upper hand. Sometimes they have the better plan. Mikel Arteta is not cheating. He doesn't have aimbot. He doesn't have all the answers. He just doesn't. And I know that he's someone who at a young age as a manager has done great things to this club, and he will continue to do great things to this club. I do believe that. He doesn't have all the answers, and he will be beat on certain days. We just need to steady the ship, keep going, and I think this Carabao Cup final will be a stepping stone. I will be happy to win it. I want to win it, but it's for me personally, it's a stepping stone for us to okay, we can win this trophy. Now let's go higher. Let's reach higher. Let's reach for the Premier League. Let's reach the Champions League. We can do this. We hit the first milestone. Let's keep going. Let's keep reaching, and hopefully we don't fall.
So just staying on the subject of the cup for a little bit, Kelly, do you think it will have a psychological impact, like on the club? Either way, like if we win, do you think it just gives us that much more oomph to go out and actually win it, or like if we lose, is this going to be? I can see the head again. Me and the media at war right now. I could read the headlines. You know, another failed attempt. They didn't get over the line again. Stuff like comments like that, and like it or not, I mean, some of the players are really good at bleeding the media out, but it seeps in. Like, you know, they've made references and everything, so like they're not oblivious to what's going on. But not that social media heavily impacts them, but I'm saying that they're aware that the opinions are out there, and maybe when you're in front of a crowd and you're not feeling 100% supported, you're almost kind of like having that, oh shit, they're looking at me. Everybody's looking at me feeling. And so do you think it would have like any psychological effect on us either way?
Yes.
Good or bad?
Yes. Yeah. I 100% think that if we were to lose the city, I think it's the positives outweigh the negative. Obviously if Holland scores 4 and we look like absolute wrecks, or we throw the ball in our net a couple times, like, I think that could have some good negative knock-on effects, because it's like, oh my God, when the pressure was highest, we just shit ourselves and threw it in our own net. Again, if Holland scores 4 or something, like there are like long tail outcomes that are really, really bad for Arsenal in this match, because City are really good and they have an astronomically expensive squad, and they have one of the greatest managers of all time, and especially maybe the greatest manager of all time, managing very expensive ego-laden squads. But I don't think that's the likely outcome. And I think that it is more likely that we will win that match because we've been better on the year and we're more balanced, and it is a secondary competition. And depending on what the league situation, Champions League situation is, Guardiola doesn't. I think we need a cup win a lot more than Guardiola and City do. And so it's certainly also in the outcome range that they are going to play a worse squad, or the players that are playing in the squad are less enthused about that. I think it is a very big deal for us, because this group of players really wants to win something tangible. And even though it doesn't completely silence those critics saying that Arsenal doesn't do this, and Arteta sucks balls because he hasn't won the Champions League or the Premier League, and he's only won one trophy, and that was a fluke because of A, B, and C. Like, I don't think it makes it go away entirely, but I think it quiets that down quite a bit, and it takes those same players who are likely going to be playing in that. I mean, it's going to be the 15 or 16 players that have the most to say about the league season and the Champions League run in too. And I think in a squad that their floor is really, really good, it maybe gives them the confidence and comfort to go even higher. And I think that's kind of an interesting thing. And maybe it's a stick that we're being beat with a little bit, that we have like the highest floor of any team, and maybe in the world, like being a maybe a somewhat light scoring, but really intent, like defensively monstrous, controlled team that's insanely frustrating to play against. You can play a bunch of different systems and a bunch of different playing styles. Like, that's at our floor. That's our minimum. That's why we're winning the league. And our downside is that we don't have an elite talisman, but like Holland has had a bad month, and look at what's happened to them. They won like one of their last 5 league matches, and they look like assholes a bunch of times because they rely. I mean, it's really good for them that Marmoush came back, because he seems to be the only other guy that can kick the ball in the fucking net besides Holland. So like, we don't have anybody, and we have a bunch of people who can kind of kick the ball in the net, but I think that's a lot better than one guy you're completely reliant on to win the matches or not. So, I mean, yeah, Ryan, you thought you could talk in a circle. Holy shit. To bring it back to something resembling what Mike's question was, I think it does a lot more for us just because we haven't been there before. And this group of players has been together largely for a long time. And I think they need this unifying win. And very clearly, I think it's maybe the pressure. It's maybe less the pressure and more the obligation that they feel to the, because remember when like we lost on the last day and Kai Havertz was like crying and saying that the first thing he says, I wanted to give these people a title. Like,
He was upset.
He was legitimately really, and that's something who's already scored the winning goal in the Champions League final, right? Like, I think that there's a special connection between this cohort of players and their manager and everybody, including the coaching staff and the playing staff and the fans, because of this big reboot and rebirth that's happened. And so I think there's the pressure is maybe not because of the individual players think that they need this, is that they want to deliver something tangible, and they want like even Saliba, what in that interview, he's like, we haven't won anything yet. Like, I want to win things, and I want to win them here. That's why I'm staying here. And that's good. That's good, but it also does. I don't think we're going to be playing particularly loose in that final. Let's just say that. Like, it's going to be tight, and hopefully we can get an early goal and start playing our game.
Yeah, I think when it comes to the comments about like enjoying yourself and knowing you could do it and earning your spot, I don't like I said, like Leeds was nice, but I don't think we're gonna go full on Luis Enrique with like Dembele and Kvaratskhelia. Like, I don't think we're gonna experience that type of football on the carpet. So drive me crazy, call me crazy, excuse me. And just because Kelly mentioned it, I will say Kai Havertz's disdain for Chelsea Football Club, Clear Lake Football Club. It's you could feel it, and it's like, and it's just strictly like he doesn't feel like he was given a fair shake or something, and the fans were critical and they criticized him when he joined Arsenal, and it's just every opportunity he has to give that club a middle finger, he is fully committed. And like at this point in the game, if I'm not mistaken, Madueke was already out and he was part of the celebration. And it's just amazing. Again, I don't think it surprises anybody that, a club that spent $2 billion in the last few years have players that don't feel very wanted or loved there. So I guess it's no mistake, or it's not like surprising, but you love to see it, Ryan. I will say that it's just something that I'm like, every time he plays and I get to see the react videos and the comments of, oh fuck, it had to be Kai Havertz, or for fuck's sake, it was Kai Havertz again. It's just inject that shit all the way into my veins. I will say that. Absolutely. Do you want to chime in at all on the negative or positive there?
No, I mean, yeah, I Chelsea Football Club sucks. I mean, it's so
Canada.
funny because I've been on so many shows where we've had debates of like, who do you hate more, Tottenham or Man U? And I've always been the minority, being like, I hate Man U more than Tottenham. I don't, as an American, I think that's just how I was brought up. Yeah, getting into football, and I just never had that disdain for Tottenham that
Mhm.
everyone else did. Um, but dude, this season, and I've said it. I think I said to both of you in one of our chats. Chelsea is now like number one on the hit list. They're I can't stand them. From Cucurella to Enzo Fernandez, um, to just like I don't like Cole Palmer either. But the video of the fans, I don't know if Madueke was coming off or coming on. When they played him earlier in the season, the fans were
Mhm.
booing him, saying something, and then you see Cole Palmer warming up, and he's like kind of egging them on, like yeah, boo him, boo him.
Mhm.
And where I don't think Cole Palmer actually hates Madueke, I do think he's trying to rile his fans up to
Yeah.
get them into the game. It's like still a shitty thing to do, and it's just like that's the Chelsea DNA. That's just who they are as a club. And yeah, it is great to really kind of stick it to them, especially with Kai Havertz, and then soon hopefully Madueke will get his say. And it's also good because we've been known to buy Chelsea rejects,
Mhm.
and it's been kind of like a thing that we've kind of been slapped with. And I think earlier in the season I was on a show, and I brought up every single Chelsea reject. I think I was defending Madueke. I don't know why I brought all the rejects up, but
Mhm.
yeah, like there's a laundry list, and I get that. But now that we're making smarter purchases, we're not buying Willian instead of Sobersley. Um, it's this is awesome. And when they could stick it back to this club that just spend and buy players just because, ooh, new shiny toy, I want it. Let's buy it. Oh no, but sir, we already have 5 goalkeepers. No, I want a seventh and an eighth. Let's go.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
it's just good. And yeah, the fans suck too. Like I just they Chelsea, it's just Chelsea Football Club sucks.
So,
And it's just so funny because there's a lot of meme videos out there. There's one video of a dude walking down the street, and he just goes, Chelsea Football Club? Yeah, fuck you. No, fuck you. And then there's another video of an old guy screaming at a worker, and the
mhm.
guy turns around, the guy says something to the old man, and he goes, hey, Chelsea Football Club sucks, and then everyone starts laughing at him. But yeah, I could talk shit about Chelsea forever,
It's
just because, yeah, for whatever reason.
Chelsea.
And oh yeah, go
Chelsea.
for it, Kelly.
Yeah, Chelsea occupies this really like they've been kind of at the the souring of a lot of different points in English football, right? Like they just kind of represent in different eras and different ways the kind of worst of what's happened of the old kind of known for being kind of fighters and racists and really kind of an ugly fan culture, right? And then the begging their way out of administration and save the bridge and parking cars near the field and like so they represent that kind of like they're almost like the rednecks and like the phony aristocrats. Like if you ever see like it's like a redneck that wins the lottery and it can buy you stuff, but it can't buy you taste or class. And if you sit down and talk with that redneck, it doesn't matter how much money he has in the bank or how many cars he has. Like his clothes are going to be cheesy. His stuff is going to be gaudy and overpriced. And when you talk to him, you can still tell that he's a piece of trash, kind of like that. That's Chelsea Football Club, and you see, and they because they came in with Abramovich's blood money and destroyed the transfer market and destroyed spending and created the kind of mega club, mega billionaire owner rich culture that is. I mean, I think we're benefiting from it now, but it's also like perverted and distorted what football has been, and they were the initiators of that. And then past that, they came of age at a time where like online, where access to football became English football became more worldwide. And so every bandwagon hopper in certain areas like are just Chelsea fans and Chelsea like quote unquote diehards. And it's really because they were the richest team and bought everybody, and that's why they became fans of Chelsea. And so they're like, all they know and all they defend on, like they think that player trading is the point of football. And it doesn't matter. It's just buying and selling these human beings like commodities and treating them like absolute dog shit and like talking agents into doing agent, like all this stuff. They've normalized so much of like the most distasteful corners of modern English football. And it's kind of funny now that they are owned by like a literal, like they literally are treating their players like assets. And I guess one of the big reasons that Maresca quit is that the physios were on the sidelines monitoring their minutes, because it's like, you can't distress this asset to the point where we can't resell them. And he was like, I'm trying to fucking win stuff here, and you're telling me about distressing the assets. Like, this is not, we're supposed to win football matches. We're not supposed to build up asset value so that we can just fund more player trading by player trading. And that's why he quit in the middle of the season, because Chelsea literally became a vehicle for player trading and churning over money and making a profit by that. And it's like, that's like the worst of what the current thing is. And that's, you know, why Kai Havertz leaves and why Madueke leaves, and they'll openly celebrate, because they were treated poorly. They're treated like shit. There's not enough room for these players in the dressing room. They're having them trade. They're fucking off Raheem Sterling, who's a really good player for them. It's like an England international. Again, we can laugh about Sterling, how he is right now, but they treat him like absolute dirt. And he's one of the best players of the generation. They signed him to an unmovable giant contract because they wanted him. They didn't want anybody else to have him. And so it's just really, really a gross, like, transactional, icky fan culture and culture within that club. And like each step of the way, like the next gross thing that became a normal thing in English football usually has their roots traced back to Chelsea. And if they don't win any match ever and they get relegated 10 times, it's not enough. It's not enough punishment. It's not enough. There's not enough laughing that I can do at the slack-jawed Abbey bros that just pollute our timelines like fucking cockroaches. And like, again, if I could mute an entire fan base out of existence on social media, it would probably be Chelsea. And like, truly, if you cut like one cord in one country, you probably lose about 80% of Chelsea fans online, if we're being honest. So there's a master internet cable that you could just hack in half in one country, in one continent in the world. You'd probably lose 80% of the shitty football takes and 95% of the online Chelsea fans, honestly. And that's what makes it even more irritating, because if you step on one cockroach, like 10 more come out of the shadows and attack you with bullshit. It's ridiculous.
By the way, when you were chatting, you brought up Raheem Sterling. I thought I had read reports of him potentially exiting, and I was like,
I think they bought him out.
Is that what they bought him out? Because I went on, I Google searched his name, and it still says Arsenal. So I'm sorry, Chelsea. So that's why they bought him out. Dude, what a money sink. Just to kind of, there's a brilliant tweet that gets recycled a lot when we play Chelsea, and it was like, Chelsea Football Club spend 500 million on 9 players.
Mm-hmm.
7 of those don't work out. Sell for 300 million. Fans celebrate that they're a great selling club.
Yeah,
and it's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy, because it does happen a lot. They still have a lot of work to do.
They're going to sell Cole Palmer to Manchester United for like 80 million this summer. They
that
literally
would
brought
be funny.
But it's like, why would Cole Palmer went there and was like, people were saying that he was one of the best 10 players in the world for a while, and they just fired a bunch of managers so he doesn't fit anymore, and now they have no place for this guy who carried them for like 2 years in his early prime. Like, what is the point of doing this? Like, what is the point? And then literally, whenever I say that and think about that, it's literally to sell and trade more players. Like, why did they sell Madueke is better than their wingers. Why did they sell him? They bought him for 35. So they developed him, proved that he was a Premier League level player, put him in the England squad, and then sold him for a £15 million profit. Why? Just keep him.
Well, I would strongly advise that if West London is in fact the Alabama of London, I think Cole Palmer fits in really fucking well right now. So I would suggest, yes, I would suggest staying there first and foremost.
Need the over.
Ryan, real quick, did you look up the video of Liam?
I can't make my chin go away.
So Liam, help me out with his last name, boys. Rosenior? Am I butchering it right now?
I don't know. French,
Wow.
I think.
Liam,
Yeah,
the Chelsea
we're said
manager.
we need him.
There you go.
Rosenior.
There's a video circulating about him getting really heated, telling our coaching staff to quote "fuck off" into our half, and it kind of, he even brought it up in the presser, and it was all about like, hey, it's disrespectful. I don't coach our people to coach it. And there was one big Arsenal account that said, hey, if I'm a betting man, it's probably a goalkeeper coach. Goalkeeper coaches often go into the other side because the balls, they're doing these long passes and they're just going to retrieve the balls. And sure enough, the only still frame, because there's no video evidence of this, it's just him, what I'm going to term posturing for his fans, just to to give them some oomph and something to fight for. Is like literally our goalie coach retrieving a ball with no Chelsea players around him, and he just loses his shit. So my question to you, Ryan, is: Do you think this is legit, or do you think he's feeling the pressure of? I almost feel like now managers, with the coverage that the Premier League has, almost want to adopt the personality in a way. So you get this guy that's known for being cool, calm, and chill. He likes to think about himself as a philosopher. He's a manager, which if you separate it, it's man ager. So we age men. One of his quotes that he came out with when he first arrived, and I don't know, Ryan. I don't know much about him, but he does strongly strike me like he's trying to be too cool for school. What is your vibes on this guy?
I don't really know. I don't know much about him. I know he did a season or season and a half in Hull. He was a caretaker in Derby before that, and then he just recently came from France, Strasbourg or whatever. And he's a mid-table manager wherever he goes, right? So this is his first really big job. I don't know. I don't want to claim to say I know him like that, but to me, it seems like he hides behind the badge a little bit in the fact that, like, when you look at Chelsea managers, you look at Sarri, Conte, Mourinho, Tuchel. You have managers, even Maresca. You have managers that aren't afraid to kind of get in the ref's ear, get in other managers' ears. The famous what was it, Tuchel and Conte? Which funny, Conte wasn't. He was on
handshake.
The handshake. Chelsea managers are known to kind of have a little edge to them. And I don't know. Well, I mean, Mourinho and Sarri and Conte, no, that's them. But I don't know. Is it just the Chelsea way? Like, I don't know. And I think, you're a new manager. It's your biggest job. You want to act like you belong. And I think that was his here's my dick moment where, hey, I'm at Chelsea Football Club. I need to show everybody that I have the biggest dick in the room. So yeah, I think it was just for him to. I think it was also too. It's almost like
don't do that when Calafiori's in that room. Don't do that.
Yeah, like when you even growing up and playing basketball, like even in high school, but in the NBA, like sometimes coaches will like on purpose get technical fouls because they're trying to rally the team up. They're trying to rally the fans. They're trying to get them into the game. And I think, down 3-2, you're at the Emirates, you need to do something. And for someone of his stature, he comes into this new club. Like I said, he was a mid-table manager in the championship with Hull. He took Strasbourg. I'm going to mispronounce the name, but they were they were like 16th the season before they took him over. He got him to 7th. Congratulations. Nothing to write home about. And he had a task. He had a big task. Not only you're going up against one of the better defensive teams, maybe not lately, but at their home stadium, and he's known as a defensive guy. He's not known as an attacking manager. So it was a big task. So I think it's just his way of just kind of like, hey, I'm I'm now Chelsea Football Club, and I need to like get this, get the juices flowing, get the kind of the team going, I guess the away supporters going. Yeah, I mean, that's his manager. And he, I think
It's
right
kind of
now,
hard not to have a inferiority complex.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like it's hard to not have an inferiority complex with what he came from and how young he is. And I agree with you. I think it's one of those things where he's trying to big dog it a little bit and prove that he's there and prove that he's got the minerals to kind of go there. But you got to be yourself too. And I think maybe that's something in like most professions, maybe guys can get away with posing, but like the spotlight is on you, man. And you are under all sorts of stress. And if you're like, one thing I do respect about Arteta is that even like with the all or nothing doc and all this stuff, like he says what he feels and that's who he is. I think we have a very good idea of who Mikel Arteta is as a guy under stress and how he talks to his players and how he talks about his players. And he's a genuine person in that way. And I think that Rosenior is going to have to, there's very little patience at the club. He has chosen to take a big swing with a very volatile and a club that does not care about you as a person and will not support you in any meaningful way if you're not doing the program. And so he's got to be careful about losing himself in the posturing here. And even if he's a talented coach, like, I mean, the record doesn't indicate he's a talented coach, but I don't know, man. I mean, I've seen like managers like, you can see these young managers, these hot shots come into some of these clubs and take that move too early and really see them get eaten up and go away quickly. And he's got to, before he starts picking fights with the Arsenal bench and yelling at Inaki Kanya for catching long warm-up balls, like maybe you should just like calm down and not be such a prick. Especially if that's not your person. If you're in a studious, kind of mild-mannered person, like you don't know where to pick the fights. You know what I mean? Like yeah. You don't know what to do to make that look organic and not look like you're manufacturing some tough guy bullshit. And your players can see it, the fans can see it, and the other team can see it, and they're not scared of you. Like Mikel Arteta watching that is not scared of you. That does not make you more intimidating than Mikel Arteta. That makes sense. Like, oh God, just let him yell. We'll show him. Type of thing. I don't know.
I will say another little piece just on the posturing though. I'll move on from this real quick. That this was like the ultimate skit for like a tough guy acting like super tough and then like storming out and leaving the room and then coming back shy and bashful because he forgot his keys or something. Forgetting the keys here is him trying to achieve the first touch. And that ball, trying to bring down the ball. And the ball just ricocheting off. It just, dude, like his own player was expecting the ball back. That didn't work. The cameraman got it. You see, if you still see like slow motion, you see fans in the crowd laughing at him. You see the Chelsea Football Club bench laughing at him.
His own players were laughing at him.
It was generally just a fucking funny moment for me. Like I generally, when I saw it, I'm like, oh man, this poor guy has a lot of up work to do. So moving off from deeply analyzing this man's behavior and who he is as a human being. Kelly, are you surprised at all that their game plan being at a 1-0 deficit was to come to the Emirates and defend like crazy for 60 minutes, essentially doing their absolute best to not get pulverized by the Arsenal and just hoping to stay in the game? And I guess they were looking for a smash and grab almost and take it to penalties. Yeah. Maybe. I don't know if that was their mindset, but my goodness, those first 45 minutes, 60 minutes bled a little bit into the second leg or second half, excuse me. They were incredibly dull defensive. And I think Yankee Gunner on Arsenal Vision podcast, I love getting smaller podcast plugs, by the way. It's just something that I do to get
I was going to say, let's help them out a little bit.
Yeah, right. You should look them up on YouTube for sure. He brought up a really good cause. No matter what pundits say, no matter what rival fans say, the people that informing us the most on what Arsenal Football Club is currently is the opposing managers. And
Mm-hmm.
you go, you hear Simeone talking stuff, right? Thomas Frank, who is a silver member, as we know, his praises us all the time, right? Pep Guardiola, however you feel about him, he's never said a negative thing about Mikel Arteta. United come to us, set up to defend. Liverpool, they've never had less possession. City, historically low possession, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's like we're being informed by the manager's decisions, and this is once again a good example of a man that is managing a 2 billion euro squad and decided to come to the Emirates with one goal down and say, I'm just going to defend, because the last thing I want is to give these people any ammunition or hope that they could just absolutely smash us. So they came in with literally what I would expect Wolves to come in, and just hoping for a smash and grab type of thing. So how are you shocked at all, Kelly, or do you think this is the new way of English football of treating us, essentially because of the dominance that we've had? And of course, and I say dominance, and jokes aside, I joked about Arsenal Vision Pod. We're a small podcast, and maybe I get away with saying we're a great side, and I avoid the where your trophy comments are, because I don't get flipped or anything. But we're a great side, and eventually those trophies will come. I feel like that's a very true statement to make, but there's not a lot of teams that come towards the Emirates, or sometimes even when they play at home, that are actually willing to play open football. They don't like attacking us very much.
It's basically plays into our. I mean, we've all seen the graph that went around that we played by far the highest. Our center backs play the highest, and then the defensive line is the lowest. It's like we're this giant outlier in there. That's like, and the thought there is that we are trying to possess the ball very, very high and trying to play a ton in the final third in the opponents. I think we lead the league by a margin, quite a margin, in the touches in the opponent's box. And again, we play like what would be a suicidal high line for a lot of clubs. We play super, super high, and other clubs just play super, super low. And I think it's two different things. One is because we have extreme control. And one of those things, I can't remember what manager said it, but he described like Arsenal, when we lose possession, like Arteta was controlling everybody from above with a joystick, because everybody absolutely tears back in their positions, and it's basically impossible to re-engage your attack, because everybody just immediately retreats into positions and becomes disruptive and gets the ball back. And that's an incredibly frustrating thing. Maybe it was, it might have been the post Bayern Munich. I don't know what it was, but it's like shocking to the discipline and the effort and the defensive responsibility and control of territory is like very, very atypical and weird and difficult to deal with. And a lot of managers talk about that. But it's also, I think the other side is that the one, every team has flaws, but the one, I think, glaring weakness in our team is that we don't have an elite finisher, in-box finisher. We don't have a 20 goal scorer. I think if we had a 20 goal scorer, we'd have 6 to 8 more points in this league. Would be done already. If we had an elite center forward, or even if we had like what Kai does, but he's been healthy the whole year, and he's going to have the biggest heater that he's had in his career, and so he scored 15 goals so far, something like that. That's by forcing us to convert our chances and our possession into meaningful chances that we can actually take. That's where you can get Arsenal. And I think what the Chelsea thought they were going to do, they didn't have any interest in playing out, again, like to the point where playing Liam Delap as a right winger is fucking insane to me, because the only reason that they did that is to have another outball. They wanted to be able to just lump it up to two different guys. João Pedro is actually an excellent hold-up striker, especially for somebody who's not like super big. He kind of reminds me of Gabriel Jesus before his knees exploded, honestly, as like a hold-up and a tricky, like foul-winning kind of divey merchant who's kind of light scoring, but is a really impactful player to regain, and like distribute the ball. But they needed somebody else because they were afraid of losing duels. And with good reason. And so they literally played Delap, who's a shitty center, but not a good center forward. It's like in cover your ears, it's like a poor man's Gyökeres, really. He does a lot of the same things that Gyökeres does, but does them worse and is smaller. I know, right? And he put him at right wing because literally just so he has a hold, like just so he has another hold up out ball. The entire point of playing him there was just so they could boot the ball up in the air and he could hold it up and they could just waste the entire half. And I really do think the plan was to keep it at 0-0 and then wait for Estevao and Cole Palmer to come on and they were going to do something. And it's like, I don't know, man. Arsenal didn't give a ton of, they were able to conserve effort while Chelsea was blocking and stuff earlier. And it's like, even like if you look into something, it's like, oh, look how more shots they had. It's like basically almost all of Chelsea's shots were just pot shots. Like it was just guys going and taking 25-yard crackers going into it. It's like two of those flew in with United, but those do not go in very often, especially like, and everybody's like, oh, we're afraid of Enzo. Enzo scored 5 non-penalty goals this year. Like he scored 10 goals, but I mean, in whatever 40 matches, he scored 5 open play goals. And I think that includes a free kick. So this is not somebody who is a prolific dribbler into space and curls shots in. Like this is not Arjen Robben who does this shit all the time. And like you look around too, Cole Palmer is barely like Cole Palmer has scored like a handful of open play goals in like the last year. The guys that they're Estevao is a good dribbler, but he's just as inclined to run into a defender and fall over or dribble it over the end line because he's 18 years old. Like I think there's a little bit of like legends in their own mind status here. And really, they didn't even like, they were just whacking the ball from really far away. They didn't even get the ball in the, like they didn't make Kepa do a whole lot of anything. And I think Arsenal will very, very much trust that they can sit there and just head balls out and like defend in a block. If you're really not going to do anything, it's like, okay, I guess we'll just stand here and defend our block. So that's cool. And that's really how it played out. But again, I do think that was the tactic. And I think the praise on him, I'm very happy because I did the podcast tour, like English-based podcast, and I think the narrative that Gary Neville and like Lee Dixon on the different commentators were trying to cook up during the game, this was some tactical masterclass, was pretty much debunked the next day by the journals that were on the podcast. And it's like, listen, it was shocking tactics. Like you needed a goal, you weren't defending a lead. Like, I understand why you did it, but it's pretty cowardly. It didn't work, and it makes you look like a complete buffoon now. Like, how we got to this was a great idea. Basically one of the guys, I think, was like, if it works, you look like a genius, but it didn't work at all, and so he looks like a fool. It was like that type of thing, and I think it was just mostly the in-match. This Rosenior is a genius for doing this. Is really more just trying to keep a really dull game interesting. To be honest with you, it's more just pundits jigging around. And again, Gary Neville's a fucking little rat-faced cunt anyway. Like, he hates Arsenal. Part of his entire thing is going and pissing in the general direction of Arsenal and Arsenal fans online to create engagement for his 8 million media projects. And again, he's just a rabble-rousing little cunt. And he never got to that level that like Jamie Carragher does, who does more legitimate stuff, or Thierry Henry. He's like in that second tier of pundits where he kind of has to like huff and puff like a toddler and knock shit over to get paid attention to, because his big brother Jamie Carragher has something to produce, and Roy Keane doesn't give a shit, so he's just going to say whatever he wants. He doesn't care if you pay attention to him or not. And I think Gary Neville very, very much cares that we pay attention to him.
Yeah, I was gonna do a deep dive on the narrative. I'll just put it on the back burner right now because I did have
Sorry, Mikey.
Comments about no, not at all. Don't you worry about it. As we often do, we flow in and out of these type of things. But front line, Madueke is starting at right wing. I don't mind that at all. I'm glad that he's getting more minutes. Eze is currently getting a little bit more minutes more fluently. Maybe some people suggest that. No, actually, I read that Odegaard is carrying a little bit of a knock, so we're being extra precautious with him. I will say that last game when Kai Havertz started in the middle, the last 2 games when Kai Havertz started in the middle, I will say for a person that's been so openly critical of Victor Gyökeres, desperately wanting Kai Havertz to come back and be our striker, for him to come back to back-to-back games and not be our striker drove me absolute crazy. But drove me absolutely crazy. But he's performing brilliantly down the midfield, which is not something that we could have said in the first year he was with us. And ultimately ended up getting pushed back as a striker. So I'm glad that he's finding his form. I'm glad that little by little he's building up his physicality, because I'm sure the workload is a lot, and I'm sure he's not fully prepared to put in minute after minute after minute. We saw the injury that Ben White ended up with, but very, very slow game. Very slow game to say the least. And sometimes I was kind of curious whether Liam Rosenior, I'm going to say it like that.
Do it.
I looked it up. It's Rosenior, like
Rosenior.
Rosenior.
I'm saying Senor then. Rosenior.
Well,
roll that R, Mikey.
I'm going with Rosenior.
You could roll the R, I guess. But
There you go. I will say, because while it seems that was his game plan, I will say that he was very critical of his team after the game. And to me, a manager that comes up and is critical and say that they weren't up to the level, stuff like that, that doesn't seem to me like his squad executed the game plan that he wanted. As Ryan said a little bit earlier in the podcast, unfortunately, in the game of football, there's another set of 11 players and a manager that want to counter whatever you got going on. And it seems like, at the very least, that he got very hard countered with whatever Mikel Arteta set up with. So we spoke about Kai Havertz a little bit. He did come in as a striker. I was gonna, because Kelly mentioned Victor Gyökeres. It's one of it. He 11 goals now, 2 assists. He's such a weird character, and I know Kelly's point of view on him, and I know Ryan pointed out that he believes he's a good striker, but not the striker for the Arsenal. So we kind of half spoke about Alvarez and Atletico Madrid and all the links that came about the last few weeks, Kelly, when you were gone. Yeah. But interesting. Anyways, Kai Havertz, he did come in. He did play as a striker this game. Tell me that's not what you want to see more of here, Ryan. Like, doesn't he just fit so well, or do you think that we're going to have to kind of prepare for life in the midfield for Kai Havertz in the midfielder, considering, and very unfortunate for Mikel Merino, he came up with that horrible injury that seemingly is going to keep him out for nearly the remainder of the season?
Yeah, so my deal with Kai is something that I think that he does extremely well is he runs really well through the channels, especially the middle channels. And it's funny because every striker that we have had, maybe minus Aubameyang, but I think Aubameyang did it too. Well, no, Aubameyang would sometimes play left wing, but every striker that Arteta has had, has instructed these strikers to run through these channels. And every striker that we've had, I don't know if they're just not used to it, but they don't nearly do it as well as Kai Havertz does. And I don't know if that's because Kai Havertz is normally a midfielder, but he's really good at it. And I think a reason why he works so well with Gyökeres, and I know he didn't play with Gyökeres this game, but he played with Gyökeres last 2 games, and they worked really well. And that's something that I wrote in my notes. They worked really well together. And I think because he's kind of doing Gyökeres' job for him, which, to be fair, I think if we want Gyökeres to be our Haaland, or just to be half of a Haaland, we need him to kind of be in the final third, not run into those channels and get into the final third. So if Havertz is doing the work for him and Gyökeres just to hold up the ball or be in spots or score goals with these, like the goal he scored against Leeds, I mean, that's just how it's going to be. The only thing that worries me with Kai, I've always said he's not going to be the striker for Arsenal because his finishing isn't up there with a Haaland, with a Haaland, I guess. But yeah, no, we need to get him back into the running games, and now with Mikel Merino out, we kind of don't have that Swiss Army knife. And I think I think Kai Havertz is going to have to be it, which is fine because I've always preferred him in the midfield. And I know people has said, well, his best game for us was in the Community Shield against Man City, and he was striker. And he's been terrible as a left day for us. I don't necessarily believe that to be true. I think he really, really, really helps our number 9, or false 9, or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I think his hear me now. Me talking in circles. I think him running into those channels, I think, is very huge for us because teams, and like you guys both, Michael, I think you said it. Teams have a certain way of setting up against us, and I think Kai Havertz is just like that key that we need to unlock everything. I don't necessarily know if it's a key to unlock like every low block, but it definitely opens up lanes for other players to kind of move a little more free and to do a little thing. And watch this. I'm telling you, I think if him and Eze play together, I think he's going to enable Eze to do a lot more. And something I also noticed when we were playing Chelsea, Eze was blowing out of his ass the last, I don't know, like 20 something minutes. Like he was all the way up the pitch, like in the final third when like it's still 0-0 trying to defend, and you just see him like trying to like sprint, but it's just like a heavy jog back. And then he's all the way back where like, Zubamendi and the back four are. And then he's got to run all the way back up. And it's just like heavy lead feet. But yeah, I think someone like Kai Havertz in the midfield will definitely enable Eze to be in better spots, because his positioning wasn't my favorite. But again, like it was just a very tough game. But yeah, I don't know. I'm talking about Eze now when you ask me a question about Kai Havertz, but here we are. Yeah.
Hey, I brought him up. He's playing more minutes. It's okay.
But Kai is one of the. So one thing I do like that talking again, another shout out to that very small up and coming podcast, Arsenal Vision, that has 10 million Patreons or patrons.
It's going to work out for them. They seem pretty solid, Kelly. I think
with a couple key additions, I think they could be a really successful podcast. But Clive Palmer on there talks about solving problems. And one thing that he's pointed out, observed that Arteta's system tends to work the best is when he has a lot of people who can solve different problems on the pitch at the same time. Either switch positions, play interchangeably in different positions, play in areas that and not specifically nailed to a particular spot. I think Kai Havertz is one of the most real manifestations of that. Like the reason why we overpaid for him is that he envisioned that you could have this guy who can play striker, or he can play 10, or he can play 8, and he's just playing in the areas you need him to play in, and he has the technical and physical level to be able to do a lot of different stuff at the same time. And I think Ryan makes a good point that like we maybe need to look at him more as somebody who enables the talent of other people around him and allows them to do it, because he can just kind of blob and always like this like footballing, hyper skilled footballing amoeba that's like, oh well, Gilchrist isn't great in the air. Well, you can play them together, and Havertz can hold the ball and do some of that aerial stuff that Gilchrist can't as much. Or like again, if Eze doesn't have the energy to get back, like Kai can get back and get him a little bit of extra win. But like in the same sense too, like you guys said from the jump too, like the tough part is that he's had 2 really significant knee injuries, and his personal style seems to be that he runs until he's collapsing. And I don't know that is sustainable. And if that is going to be how he's going to play, at least until he has 10, 15, 20 matches under his belt, like maybe he's just not going to play as often then. Because like he just played 45 minutes to test himself out, and all of a sudden he's played 2 matches in a row. And how do we legislate for that? Because like Mike said too, the closest analog to Kai Havertz, and it's not a perfect fit, is Marino. And that guy, Marino, it sounds like he's out probably for the rest of the season, or for most of the rest of the season now. So if Kai is really this, the old NFL reference, the old MLB reference, the straw that stirs the drink, if that's Kai Havertz, kind of looks like a straw. He's tall and skinny, and anyway.
Yeah, for real. Dev kind of put this comment in just because I know that I alluded to the comparison, or at least Kai playing in the absence of Merino. But Dev says Havertz is so versatile. He's basically a better version of Merino minus the finishing. And I find that I find that really fucking humorous. First and foremost, I slightly tend to agree, but
He's
I
100% correct.
yeah, because he started off as, in our mind, essentially defensive midfielder, and then he started playing it, as 10 essentially, and then we all arrived to the conclusion on Nap that he gets better the closer he gets to goal. Like the further the goal, we don't like him. He seems clumsy, but inside the box, he's a fox in the fucking box for somehow. So I just thought it was funny because our quote defensive midfielder is one hell of a striker, and I found some amusement in that.
Yeah, I think again, like I've often described Arteta's Arsenal as like the island of misfit toys, kind of, where he has these like talented, kind of like multi-positioned, like kind of what is this player? He has an awful lot of those. And maybe he's even had less success with the players that have very defined roles and they can only play that defined role. Maybe I think he's almost like done worse with those players because of all the shit that he wants people to do. And again, like look at besides our center backs and center forward in this, like every single player is like, oh, Madueke could play on his right, has play on his right foot too, because he can cross it with that. And Hincapié plays the center back in a back three, but he's playing as a back four here. And Urian Timber came from a back three and played center back. And like you kind of go through all the runs of all these guys, and they have all these weird positional quirks and like different skill sets that don't make a whole lot of sense together, but they just happen to have it. And I think maybe kind of a full circle observation here. It's like, wouldn't it be cool to win something significant with that type of a team? It's not just going out and
absolutely
like being PSG and just buying the best this and this, and you don't have to worry about the other stuff because you can just put them in an armchair and not give a shit. Or like, City, it's like, oh, I'm going to go buy Calvin Phillips, not because I want him or need him, but just I'm going to ruin his career so that somebody who's actually competing with me can't get them. Like, I'm just going to destroy this guy's career, just buy him. Or like get City the same thing. Like, or Chelsea, up and coming guy. Well, here's a 7-year contract so that if your knee explodes, you're going to get paid $80,000 a week for the next 7 years, no matter what. Like, we don't care. And then if you find a better team, then we'll sell you, and then you can get your 150 week contract. But at minimum, we're going to be paying you this money. Like, Mudryk is going to be stealing money from them for like 4 or 5 more seasons at like $100,000 a week. And I don't know. It'd be really cool to see. We spent a lot of money and we have a lot of really good players, but the kind of like A-positioned fox in the boxes, jack of all, like all these people that don't make any sense individually, nonetheless together, to have them somehow come together in something that does something very cool. And I think that's not this idea that Arsenal is going to be if we do it this year, is going to be the worst Premier League title winner ever. Is more, I think we were built in a very unique way to do for a very specific purpose. And maybe the front running talismanic age where you're relying on one player to win you all the matches and you just have the best player in the world, the best goal scorer in the world, and that's going to do it for you. Maybe the league is too good to have it be that way because teams in the bottom 3 or 4 can shut out Holland because they have international players and they have tons of money. And like Brentford is a stadium that's like the size of my high school football stadium. It's a couple miles away from me. And they are spending tens of millions of pounds on really, really elite players. And they're retaining really, really good players too at a Premier League level. So maybe you can't just show up with Kylian Mbappe playing striker and he's just going to score 50. Maybe that Holland's last enormous season, maybe that's the last time you can win a league doing that. And he might score in bunches, but he can't make up for the lack of continuity and the lack of defensive ability of those behind him. He can't score enough goals because everybody is too good and will take advantage of too much of this shit defending to be able to get them enough points to win. So I don't know. And maybe that's just pie in the sky. I think that's probably pretty self-serving, but I think if we do that, it'll be maybe the least superstar-y Premier League. Because even like Leicester, I mean, Conte and Vardy and Riyad Mahrez are 3 of the best players at the Premier League hit their era. Like, they are spectacular Premier League football players.
Mahrez was insane.
Yeah, like it was a freak occurrence that they played on a low, like a relegation fodder team at the same time. It's just a freak occurrence. Like that's stumbling into something. But like, I don't know, man. I'm 2 drinks in, so I'm getting sentimental. take the mic away from me, Mike.
No. You guys are all getting sleepy. I can see you guys yawning. It's way later over there. I was just gonna close out the show with just two things.
Yeah.
Just because you mentioned Neville, I do think there's an active attempt for. It used to be mainstream media belittling YouTubers, and I think the YouTubers got pretty popular. Some by just being good human beings speaking about football.
Yeah.
But there was also a market for rage baiting. And
Yes.
I generally think that through multiple sources, because we saw it I heard about it in English commentary and I heard about it in American commentary. And there was like an active talk shit about the Arsenal throughout commentary. It's like they were praising a defensive minded Chelsea. They were, Neville was making comments saying that like Arsenal were going to have to work on it. I think there was a throwaway comment saying that we clung on to it. Things like that. And I was just their mainstream media is now lowering themselves and adopting the rage bait YouTuber headline thing. And it's just I find it fascinating. I find it insane and despicable all in the same way. But I just wanted to end it with that. I don't want to deep dive into it too much. I will give a massive shout out once again, because the goodness of our heart with our massive platform. Shout out to Tom Canton, who is, of course, just his regular one, Tom Canton Media. He writes for Football London. He actually today, 8 o'clock in the morning for us Yanks, so it was around, early afternoon. He wrote in an article just speaking about the rage bait of media. And in this article, he kind of composed not just this past weekend, but several moments of pundits just absolutely contradicting reality. And he just points that out, that it's a little hypocritical and that none of it is actually rooted in actual reality. So again, if you guys haven't checked it out, I would recommend checking it out, just because it kind of highlights some of the hypocrisy, at the lack of better words. But that's going to be it for us for tonight. We're a finalist. Yes, I understand it's the fourth cup that in the ranking, if you will. But jokes aside, I mean, you got to start somewhere, and so I'm all for it. Also, the last time we played this cup, it was against City, and I started seeing highlights of Mustafi, and
dude,
and I didn't.
Me and my friends talked about this because the last time we were in this, my friends and I went into New York City and watched the game at like a neutral bar. And I remember there's three. It was two of my friends who are Arsenal fans and one of my friends who's a City fan. We were like miserable. And my one City friend felt bad for us. He was just kind of like, "Yeah, we won. Like, it's not really an important cup. We don't really need it."
He downplayed it for you
and
guys.
He's just kind of like, "This is whatever to me." I feel bad because you guys are my friends and you guys are fucking. I have one friend screaming at the TV. My other friend is on the verge of tears, and he just my City friend just doesn't know how to like talk to us, like be a human. And I'm just kind of like, yeah, like that's it. And I texted them, and we're all getting together for that game, so it's going to be very interesting. I don't plan, and it's funny because I looked it up while we were in the show, and I could have swore they killed us like 6-0, 5-0, because it just felt like the worst game ever. Because I remember laying. We were in a booth at a bar, and I was laying in the booth just like, this game needs to end. I thought I was like 5-0, and it ended up only being 3-0. But yeah,
good outing for us, all things considered.
It's like real quick. It's like people like, oh, it's the fourth cup. It's like we're playing City. We're not playing Crystal Palace. We're not playing a good championship side. Like, we're playing a top team in Europe. So like, this is it's the trophy as far as like in seasons in the future like is concerned. Yeah, maybe not. It's not something you're gonna brag about. You're not gonna brag about being the 2026 Carabao Cup champions. I get that, but like, so it's such a big stepping stone. We're playing City. We're playing, if you had to pick one team we didn't want to play in a final of an English Cup, it's I would like to think I would think it'd be City. For me, that's the one team I don't want to play in a final, just because they've always felt like our older brother. And I
Yeah.
feel like because Arteta has came from there, he always feels like the little brother. And we're better than him now. We our balls dropped. We grew some hair under our armpits. Like we can fucking play now. And they need to be worried about. We need to be worried about us. It's just because we need this. And like Kelly, you brought it up. You brought up a really good point. Like
Mhm.
they kind of don't need this. They've been like winning shit, and like
Yeah.
we need this for our confidence. We need this to go talk to women. Like we need this. They don't, and I think we're going to be a scary team to play. Now, going back to what I think you said earlier too, Kelly, we're not going to play all razzle dazzle and crazy. We're going to be playing tight. We're probably going to try to not. I don't know if we're going to play like Chelsea played against us, but yeah, it's going to be a very good defensive matchup, I think. And I do think we have the advantage. I do think we come out on top. I think they're very suspect in the back, and I think we're going to exploit that. But that is for another show. But yeah,
sure.
no, I just, yeah, I know you're like, oh, we're going to bed. No, I want to keep talking. Fuck you, Mike. No, I'm just kidding. But no, yeah, I just like we downplay it because it's the last of the cups that we care about. Some could say they care about more about this than the FA Cup because we won the FA Cup so much. Whatever.
Mhm.
But like this is such a big stepping stone. This is such a big deal. And like we're playing again, we're playing City. We're not playing West Ham. We're not playing Bournemouth. Like it's a big game. And also, what I think we forgot to mention is we potentially might be playing City. What is it? 4 times, 5 times, all in that
Yeah.
beginning
It could be
April.
4 times.
We could be playing them in the Champions League too. So, it's a big deal, and to me, I mean, yes, Liverpool won last year, but City have always been the team that we're trying to get off our back. They are our big brother, and they've acted like
Yeah,
it.
I would
And
agree with that.
because of Arteta, maybe,
Mhm.
but we need to get this monkey off our back. Like we need to beat them, and I think if we win, I think it's gonna like definitely give so much good vibes to the Arsenal locker room, to the players, to the staff. They're like, yo, we just beat City. We just won a trophy, and then it is in the Community Shield. Like, bro, we could do this. What's stopping us? What's stopping us from the Premier League? Oh, because history said we're going to lose. Because history said that we haven't won the last 3 years because we just can't quite get over the line because we have so many injuries or we just fucking flat out suck. No, fuck this. We're gonna win this. So like, yeah, I'm fucking excited for the Carabao Cup. Yeah, I'm gonna be hanging out with my friends and my fucking 2 City fan friends, one who can't even spell soccer. But fuck it, we're gonna win, and I'm gonna have a good time, and I'm gonna be so happy. I'm gonna be talking in all your chat rooms. And I'm gonna be like, that's it. We're winning the Premier League. I'm going to the England. I'm going to the parade. Like that's it. Like this is it, and it all starts March 22nd. I'm done now. Thank you.
You're done. And scene. So just 2 things on it. I just my conspiracy theory is the more and more first division teams move away from playing their youth squads,
Mhm.
the tournament is going to grow in prestige. Just give it a few more years, in my
Yeah.
opinion. Right? We don't see teenagers in the semifinals
That's a
anymore.
good call.
And second, just cherry on the top, if we do manage to win either an FA or the league or if we do manage to win something else on top of this, the conversation is the double. That's it, the double. It's a double winning team, and I think it's good for optics, to say the very least.
Yeah.
That's I will say that, but
Yes, all they care about is optics.
Optics. There you go. That'd be the show. Thank you so much for joining us, live chat. You've been lively tonight. YouTube. It's getting late for us. Very early in the UK. I want to say shout out for Kelly. Welcome back, Kelly. I'm glad that you made it back in one piece. A little bit tanner, but here you are, and the glorious, witty person that you are. You could find Kelly at South Metro AFC on Twitter. And my good mate Ryan, back-to-back appearances, as we like to joke around, his 8th or 9th appearance. Debut, if you will. You can find him at Ars Bros Ryan on the Twitters. If you like toxicity, go to Twitter. That's where we all at. My name, of course, has been Mike Hertz.
Make it like this now.
You can find me at Mike Hertz FC. Devin, the live chat, says double. We're doing this quad. I like that. You could find us currently, you could only find us on YouTube because I haven't been uploading in Spotify or Apple Podcasts. I will get to that, I promise. But thanks so much for joining us. Till next time when we win the quadruple, I guess. Later, gents.
Right foot this time, Martin Odegaard.
Zinchenko from Ketty, it's in, it's 4. Martinelli tiptoeing in. Predatory, perfect. There is a gorgeous arrogance about Arsenal now.
It really is. They are enjoying every second of this.